So if you are given an infinite series, such as A1, A2, A3, all the way up, the sum of all of those, A1 plus A2 plus all the way up to infinity, is going to equal the sum as k is equal from 1 to infinity of a to the k. Now the idea of what a partial sum is that idea of partial sum is just a small portion of that. And it's so that the partial sum up to 1 is just equal to a to the 1. The partial sum of 2 is going to equal a1 plus a2 all the way up, so that s of 3 would equal a1 plus a2 plus a3, and the sum of the whole infinite series, a1 plus a2 all the way up to a to the k, is going to equal k is equal to 1 up to n of a to the k. Now, the reason that this is so, and partial sums are so helpful to us, is that when you're finding the limit of something, the limit going towards infinity, starting from 1 of a to the k, is equal to the limit when n goes to infinity of that partial sum, which will equal the limit. If the sequence of the partial sum diverges, the infinite series also diverges. Now, this can be useful as we're looking at questions that look like this. If I have a to the n is equal to negative 1 to the n times 4, let's first find, so before we go through and find the partial sums, we need to go through and find the first 4 terms. And again, we're using 4 because that's how far up with this we want to go. So a1 just becomes negative 1 to the 1 times 4, or just negative 4. My second term is negative 1 squared times 4. In this case, that gives me a positive 1 times 4, which is a positive 4. The third term is negative 1 to the third times 4. That is equal to negative 4. And the fourth term is going to be positive. Negative 1 to the fourth times 4 is equal to 4. So you will see with this, what we have is an alternating partial sum. So what does the partial sum at 1 equal? S of 1 is just equal to a of 1, which is just negative 4. The partial sum of 2 is the first 2 terms added together, so that's negative 4 plus 4, which is equal to 0. This first 3 terms is the third partial sum, and when I add those together, I get negative 4, and the last one that we're looking for is again back to 0. Now, this is important. We have an alternating sign, and that keeps alternating back and forth between negative 4 and 4. This sequence will definitely diverge.